going back to an Indian student coming to Ireland to study, we've talked about, of course, food, we've talked about adjusting to a culture, but was there something that you wish that you knew before you went to study abroad in Ireland? Was there something you wish that, oh, I wish someone told me this before I left?
I mean, I always knew internships were very important, and they take it seriously here in terms of applying for jobs. But unfortunately, I didn't take it that seriously, so I only had 2 internships in hand. Just to give some sort of background, I was the youngest in my class, so the rest of them, all of them had like 5-6 years of work experience.
Oh, wow.
Whereas I had only like 3-4 months of an internship because I was the youngest in my class.
Oh,
so I was basically competing with them. And I don't know if I've mentioned this while talking to you. So 6 months is for the coursework.
Okay.
And then the rest of the months is for either a placement or a thesis. That's a choice you need to take.
I see. Okay.
I got through one placement, which was supposed to be in Germany, but that got cancelled because of COVID. So I had to unfortunately go back to India, and I wrote a thesis. But yes, for some of them, the placement worked during COVID. So yeah, they had a 6-month internship. I think that is what I really wanted, because when you're applying for jobs here, they're looking for local work experience. Me saying I worked somewhere back in India, they're not even aware about that company.
Right.
I'm not saying it is of no value, but I think local experience and having an internship in Ireland itself, they give a lot of importance to that. So I was, to be fair, I was very disappointed. I couldn't get through that placement because of COVID, but you just have to move past it. And it's not like thesis is not given any importance. Thesis is taken very seriously. There's so much of research you have to do. And sometimes when you go for interviews, they ask, what did you research on, what was your thesis paper on? So it's not like it's of no value. They do ask that. But I preferred local work experience.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes things
on? What did
you
write your thesis on?
I wrote my thesis on microblogging on Twitter and its impact on business industry.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You do get assigned a thesis advisor, but like I said, they're not going to spoon feed you. You have to do your own research. And if you have like a set of questions written down, you can like book an appointment and say, hey, I want to discuss this. And they will guide you. They won't tell you what to do, but they will guide you. So I think that's the difference between studying here and studying there.
So how did that happen? How did you get your job in Ireland? And what is the process like for international students? Do you have like the student visa? You're allowed to work on it? Do they extend it after you graduate? How does this work for you?
Okay, so basically, if you get a student visa here, which I was on previously, so my student visa was for 1 year because my course was for 1 year, but you get 2 years extra. Whether you're employed or not, you can still stay in Ireland.
Nice. That's very nice to know.
So I think that was the biggest advantage, which is also one of the reasons why I chose Ireland, because at that point of time when I was applying to the UK, at that point of time, I could only stay during the duration of the course and then had to come back to my home country.
That's a huge advantage for Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, the visa rules have changed for the UK now. Now you can stay an extended year or something like that. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But speaking for Ireland, you can stay 2 years extra, irrespective of being employed or not. So I finished my course, and then now I have a work visa. Again, I'm finding a job is not easy here. Let me make that very clear. First of all, being an international has its own set of perks and cons. And also because of COVID, it has had a drastic impact on, employment. They would obviously prefer locals over internationals at this point, because there's so many people who have lost their jobs.
Okay.
So it wasn't easy for me. What I did was, like I said, I had gone back to India for a 2-week vacation, and that's when lockdowns were announced. So I was stuck in India for 6 months.
Oh no.
Wow. So
Wow.
I wrote my thesis back in India. I was not here. But then, there are students who want to just study in Ireland and then go back to India.
Right.
Take care of their family business, or they just don't feel Ireland is the right country for them. But there are also people like me that want to study and work abroad, and I feel I'm better off living outside India. So I was pretty stubborn, and I told my parents, you know what, I don't care if I don't have a job at this point. I'm going back and looking for a job.
Nice.
I was pretty stubborn about that. They were a little worried because they're like, oh, COVID is there. How is she going to find a job? But I think, they just let me follow my gut. And first few months, I was unemployed for 3-4 months. So that wasn't easy, because that's when Ireland had its peak, strict, complete lockdown.
Oh no. Wow.
So I just had to I worked on many other things during that time. Like I said, my other friends are a lot more experienced than I am. So I did like a lot of certificate courses. And then I just did like a lot of random interviews to get practice, not because I wanted a job at that place.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important, because their way of speaking, their way of approaching is a lot more different. So I did random practice interviews. And it was like any other, student who just graduated. You're going through LinkedIn every few minutes, checking if there's a job out, or if you've got like a status update from them. Because of the lockdown, they wouldn't even tell you if you got the job or not. It would just be like they've disappeared.
Wow.
So I would keep waiting. Oh, when is this company coming back to me and stuff like that? And there have also been companies that have asked me to do presentations, like make a marketing plan, and I would put my heart and soul into that, and you would get no response. So that can be very heartbreaking. You will face a lot of rejection, and I think you expect, even if it's a rejection, you expect that sort of email to come to you saying, I'm sorry,
Right.
A lot of companies don't do that now because of COVID. I think, everyone's just all over the place. Mm-hmm. But of course, now things have gotten so much better, and, everyone's getting vaccinated. Things are slowly getting back into normalcy. Right. But if you're asking how I got my job, is my friend's boyfriend actually works for Amazon, and he saw some post on Instagram and he shared it on DMs through me. That was very random. And he's like, I think you should go for it. And I was not feeling motivated at that point of time. Like I said, because I'd gone through so much of these, I don't know, it just didn't feel good. So but anyway, I didn't want to give up. So I was like, you know what, let me do that. And then in the middle of the night, I just sent in my resume to Amazon, and they got back to me within 3 minutes. I'm not even kidding. 3 minutes. This was at like 3 a.m. I was not ready.
Wow.
And they were like, you need to do a skill test.
Okay.
And usually these sort of skill tests takes only 20 minutes, where they just kind of check your language, if you know how to speak English and stuff like that, like personality quizzes and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. But that took me around 3 hours. They grilled me. This was not a face-to-face interview, nothing like the rest of the companies I interviewed for.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't go physically to work because of COVID. We had restrictions, so everything would be, through Zoom or stuff like that. But Amazon was completely digital. I did all of my tests on that for 3 hours. So I still remember I applied at 1:30 a.m. and I was up until like 4 or 5.
Wow.
And I was being timed on my tests and everything. And I don't know, I didn't have any expectations, but that was like a very new way of finding an employee, I felt. And 3 days later, I got a letter saying, welcome to Amazon. And I was like, oh my God, after 4 months of applying to various jobs, I finally got that. So that felt very good.
Nice.
Finally, I felt like I accomplished something. I came here for a reason. So I felt like I proved my point at that stage.
So what is your job though? Like, what did you get? What do you do right now at Amazon?
So it's like a graduate program. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with that. Graduate program is where they put you in all sorts of fields, like marketing department, various departments, and towards the end of the year, they tell you where you actually fit.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So graduate programs, getting to that, I'm jumping. I was supposed to have placements after my course, which was cancelled because of COVID.
Wow, you had
yeah, which was also one of the reasons.
Did your college not help you apply? Do they not have a career center? Like, what is it?
Everyone was just stuck. COVID was a very new development at that point of time. No one knew what they were doing. They will give, so during your course, you get like a lot of career counseling. They tell you how to approach interviews, because the way you write resumes and CVs is a lot more different than in India. You're constantly talking about what you did. You're like 4-5 pages. Here we stick to maximum 2 pages, but preferably 1 page. In that 1 page, it needs to look impressive out of like 1,000 applicants. So they trained us on how to write a CV, how to approach for interviews, how do you sit, stuff like that. I think that was very important. And during if I had a placement, they would obviously guide me, but that did not happen because of COVID, which is why a lot of us, just found jobs through LinkedIn, Indeed, websites like that, or some social networking website. Very important to network here because local references matter a lot. I obviously didn't have a local reference because I didn't work here locally, but I just got lucky. Like I said, local references very, very important for a CV here. It marks a difference. Now getting back to my Amazon thing. So that's a graduate program. Graduate programs are very popular here. So you can get graduate programs through Google, Facebook, all of the big companies.
Okay.
So it's like, it depends on your contracts. Some contracts can be 1 year or 2 years. Mine is a year. So, and when you work for a big organization, you can laterally move within.
Yeah, of course. Right. Yeah.
So right now I'm working on something called account closure and data deletion. Sounds a little complicated. I'm not even going to bother explaining that, but basically I work for a team called ACDD, and my aim is to get into the digital marketing team. So now they've given me like development projects to work on, and if I impress them and perform well, they will put me in that team.
Okay.
So I think getting into a big company is important, like KPMG, EY, Facebook, Google, because you always have opportunity. Even if you don't want to work in Ireland, you can always request them saying, can I work in another country? As long as you have those visa requirements, they're happy to send you off. And I know Amazon is there in India. So worst case, if I have to, if they throw me out of the country or something because of my, if I don't fall into the visa criteria, I know that I might have some opportunity back in India.
Yeah, definitely. But so you're saying on your student visa right now, you have 2 years after to find a job. And once you found a job, you switch to the work visa, and then you can continue to stay in Ireland and work as long as you
want. But that's the thing. It's not as easy as it sounds though. So after the student visa, you get the 2-year extension, which is called Stamp 1G. So like I said, you don't need to have a job to stay here with those 2-year extension. But after that, you would need to find a company that would be willing to sponsor you.
Okay.
And you need to fall into that criteria in terms of salary and all of that, and then only you get your work visa.
Okay.
So this year and next year is pretty chill for me. Right. But from next September, if I don't fall into that salary criteria or, other visa requirements, I will have to go back to India.
Okay.
Or if company is not willing to sponsor my visa.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm paying for my visa, but from next year, I would need to find a company to sponsor me.
Okay, understood.
So that's not easy, especially because COVID has had such an impact on the economy and stuff like that. They're not willing to sponsor if you're not, only if you're special and you have something they don't have here, they're going to take you for that job.
Yeah.
Why else would they want to take some international when they have plenty of local people here to do that job?
Right.
So, which is why I said you need to prove yourself and tell them why you're different from the rest of them. So it's very competitive. Several people applying for the same position.
Yeah.
I had a few of my friends who applied for the same job as me.
Okay.
2 of us got in and the rest didn't. So it's like sometimes you have to compete with your own friends. It's not.
Yes.
That can be, you're going and saying, hey, I got the job, and the other person would be crying. So
it's
not easy. Yeah.
Okay.
And these are some sort of reality checks. Everything looks all fun and everything goes smooth, but these are things that can be really hurtful, and it's not easy.
It isn't at all. Absolutely. And that's why I wanted your perspective on this, because it's all easy to say, studying abroad is great and you have such cool experiences, which you do, but there is the other side of finding a job, finding accommodation, finding friends, doing everything on campus, and actually making your life out there, which is not something anybody else is helping you with. You have to do it all on your own and figure it out all alone. My last question is, if you had to give some piece of advice, 1 or 2 pieces of advice to Indian students who are now looking from this year or next year to come to Ireland to study abroad, what would that be?
Do a bunch of those certificate courses.
Okay.
See, there are times like I said, marketing jobs are so much in demand here. Sometimes it doesn't fit in your visa criteria. So I would have to go through data analytics and stuff, jobs like that, to stay here permanently. That's what I want to do.
Right.
So obviously now I've studied business. I don't have any idea about data analytics. So I would have to do my own research work and, prove it to them that I do have an idea. Right. So depends on what kind of field you want to get into. Look up what the visa actually, requires you to do, and then come prepared, because don't come here and then you're going to feel all over the place sort of. So do plenty of those certificate courses. They do matter. Do a bunch of internships if you're a fresher like me, very young, that doesn't have too much of local experience. Do a bunch of those internships. They give so much value to that. Even if you're a barman over here, they give so much of respect and value to that.
Right. Okay.
Because you're saying, hey, I manage customers. I dealt with this problem. And they'll say, okay, how did you make a difference there? So it doesn't matter if you're a cleaner or a barman. They don't discriminate you on those spaces.
Okay.
As for every job, there's some sort of value. So doesn't matter. Even if you come, I didn't do a part-time job, but there are some of them who did that because they're paying off their student loans and all of that. So it makes a lot of difference. So do a bunch of internships if you're a fresher like me. Certificate courses. You should be able to accommodate to things, I think. Don't stick inside your room. It can be very difficult because of the weather. You will feel tempted to just lay in bed. Like I said, networking is very, very important. So before I came here, I actually did get in touch with a few of my professors through LinkedIn.
Nice.
I emailed them personally. They like those sort of, personal touches. They will remember you.
Yeah.
So I do remember one of my marketing professors. So he's like, "Hey, you're the girl from India. I know I've been to Chennai. They like that, so email them. LinkedIn profiles, please. I didn't have a very good LinkedIn profile when I came here because there was nothing much to put on that.
Yeah, you just studied.
But I just had like a undergrad degree and like an internship. But put like if they're LinkedIn certificate courses, I'm not. Yeah, there's something like that. So all of that really counts here. They scan your LinkedIn profile before applying for a job. I think, okay, if you don't know how to cook like me, I think it would be a little better you get help from your mother, learn from her. Don't be stubborn like me. I learned it the hard way. Better to learn it off your mom. I think you should be mentally prepared about the weather here. I think that's something that takes a toll on a lot of people. In fact, a lot of my friends. If you don't like cold weather, please don't bother coming here because it is just going to be cold. Let's face the reality.
It is. And people, I think, underestimate the impact of the weather on themselves. And they're like, oh, I'll put it out and it'll be fine. And then there's like 6 months of no sunshine. And it affects them or not. Yeah.
Exactly. So some of them went back to India because they couldn't do their assignments here. They finished the course from home. It's not easy. And obviously, like, not everyone is very expressive about their mental health. So, some of them might have been depressed and they were not even aware that they were depressed.
Correct.
Seasonal depression is a real thing. So, if you can't deal with those things, then it will be difficult for you. I'm not saying you can't overcome it, but you need to be aware of such things.
Yeah, be aware and be prepared of how.
Yeah. And also, I forgot, Irish accent is very strong. So for some of you, it might, first few weeks, you probably won't even understand what they're trying to say. Yeah. Especially Cork accent is very, very strong. Their slang, everything is very different. And they also find Indian accent a little hard to understand because it's a very English country. So I'm not saying you need to put on a fake accent, but you might have to improvise a little bit for them to understand instead of repeating yourself. Their impression about India is very different. So you need to explain a lot of things to them. So you need to be ready for stuff like that. A lot of them ask me, oh, so are you getting married next year? Because I see that in Indian movies. And I would be like, no, India's progressed a lot more. It's a lot more modern. So stuff like, you might be asked some sort of questions like that. You shouldn't take it as an offense. It's because they just don't know.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Really, this has been really nice, very insightful, a lot of information for students. So thank you so much for being here with me and answering all of these questions. And I really hope the students going to Ireland this year find it really useful. So thank you.
No worries. I'm happy to help. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, if you're planning to move to Ireland or study here, please do contact me. I would be happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you so much.